Hey, RetconRaider here, and welcome back to Skald against the Black Priory, where today, with the refugees' needs at least temporarily tended to, their ills momentarily abated, though who knows, perhaps that cure will ultimately end up proving worse than the disease, a new companion in tow, and a new spate of quests weighing down our logbook, we officially turn our attention outward. The rest of the Outer Isles await. We know Harran is south, we glimpsed it from the lighthouse, so we'll head north and then just start filling in gaps. Let's see what we've got. Oh, and right off the bat, we've got some sort of church just north. You stop dead in your tracks as you suddenly see a shadow in the corner of your eyes. As you turn to look, it's gone. Then, suddenly, an unmistakable piping sound from behind you. You whirl around, but once again, the source is gone. There is no doubt, however, Mother Katak's child is stalking you. Ooh, ominous. Though, unfortunately, I have actually been informed that event may not actually be fully implemented in the current build. And here's our warm-up. Yeah, we'll be getting at least a couple of random encounters as we wander the Isles. But for the most part, it should just be stuff we can make short work of. And we can always use the XP. As far as the Mother Katak thing goes, I was initially just going to go into it blind, but then I received a warning from one of the raiders to not burn too much time on it, since it apparently, it just kind of cuts off at a certain point. And in digging into it, which, generally speaking, I'm trying to avoid with any narrative points from here on out, since we are past the point I've previously played, it looks like the developer is planning to add that content later down the line, so, maybe we'll be able to circle back to it at some point. But it's just one of the things, one of apparently a handful of things that didn't ultimately make it into the initial launch. Apparently the original plans, as with many CRPGs, were significantly more expansive than what the ultimate launch version ended up being. Not terribly uncommon, especially with crowdfunded games, but I've got to say, all things considered, from what we've seen thus far, I think it turned out really well, despite any cuts they may have had to make. I think this is the first time we've really run into something that does feel like it was kind of unfinished. And it's a minor side quest dealie, so. Certainly not the end of the world. Would be nice to get closure, though. That said, the developer has already done, I think, at least 1 or 2 significant content drops post-launch, adding new art for cutscenes, adding an entire new class, the Bard class, bridging the gap between Mage and Rogue, plus, more recently, an official toolset. So perhaps we'll see another content drop in the new year. And failing that, there are now tools available for folks to make their own custom content, so perhaps we'll see something fun there. And of course, also, if they do officially end up putting a pin in Skald, calling it done, I feel like what's there is pretty solid. From what I understand, it's a nice, well-reviewed 30-ish hour package, which we're apparently very rapidly coming up on the halfway point in. So, if they are going to add something new, let's hope they do it soon, because it does sound like we're going to be wrapping this up in another 12 or 15 episodes. Shrine of Presence. Seems to be a very small map with hostiles. Reavers. Hopefully we'll get lucky and pull a decent drop or two. Nice, nice. Cat can dole out some pretty decent damage with ranged sneak attacks. It's just... Oof. It's just a bit trickier to reliably set them up. Solid hit on Farron. Not in the danger zone just yet, but let's stay on top of that. Choppy chop. Go for backstab. Number 1 out. With number 2 not far behind. Nice. Last guy's finally joining the party. Let's move to block. Headshot. Oop. Flubbed the area heal. Ah, I see. That's why he second-winded himself. Hence Ivan's flubbed fatality. Also, gotta say, this shrine looked a whole lot bigger on the world map. Such are the abstracts of the 8-bit era. No loot drops. Still doing okay on arrows, just gotta keep on top of that. And let's see what's going on here. Pretty much just the shrine. Okay. Single piece, no containers. An ancient, weathered Imperial Way shrine stands before you. Despite its remote location, you suspect it still sees occasional use. Drina, what is this? What exactly am I looking at here? A pilgrim's shrine, Drina answers as she thoughtfully strokes the ancient masonry. There are a number of these spread throughout the Outer Isles. Pilgrims would come from throughout the Empire to pray at them. It is said to bring good luck and clarity. Oh, so you've never actually tried it yourself? No, I am a Sepulchite. My order is not required to do pilgrimages, and I've had little time to wander in my time here. That being said, it would give me great joy to be able to visit all the shrines one day. Say, pilgrims traveling to the shrines pass through Harran. We might still find some there. Perhaps they could teach us the proper prayers and rituals to perform at these sites. Yeah, that is certainly a thing we can look into, assuming we find anyone alive. Though, based on what you're saying here, it does sound like we're at the beginnings of a scavenger hunt quest. Nothing in our journal, but perhaps maybe once we find those prayers. Oh, right, and you know what? This is the Shrine of Presence. That's one of our 5 attributes. So, logic would dictate we have 5 of these shrines scattered around. Perhaps that's how we can actually increase our attributes. That certainly would be a welcome bonus. Especially Presence. That is essentially Farron's primary. Though I will also say that does feel like it might be too generous for a game like Skald. I should probably set my hopes a mite bit lower. Freya, would you like to give us a second opinion? This is one of several pilgrim sites in the Outer Isles. It is said that to pray at them offers wholeness of body and clarity of mind. However, Freya has no idea of the proper prayers and rituals to perform. Perhaps there are pilgrims in the region for you to ask. Okay, yeah, so pretty much the same thing. Though Drina did specifically name-drop Harren. So it does seem likely that's where we'll find our prayer decryption key. We shall return. Let's keep heading east, see where this road takes us. Okay, well, it takes us to the ocean. Can we... Oh, wow, look at that. Which puts us just north of Mother Katox. And we are being hounded. More easy XP. Though I do see a few Fellhounds in the mix here. Which actually is slightly easier than the standard Dire Hounds. Since, as we've seen, they tend to get caught up doing those spear howls. Speaking of which... But those don't stack, so... Beyond the first one, they're just wasting their turn. One thing I will have to decide moving forward, at least if we have a lot more overland exploration, is whether to start skipping through some of these trash mob encounters. I don't want to just turn them off, that is an option, but it's a lot of extra XP and crafting ingredients, you know? Which I do hate to leave on the table. But when it comes to enemies like these, we're not really being challenged. It is just easy XP. But then again, you know, inversely, the encounters are so quick. It doesn't feel like they bog things down too much. These guys will be dead in, what, inside 2 minutes? We'll see how many more encounters we get on our way to Harren. That does seem to be where they're funneling us now. Oop. Farron's actually getting a mite bit low. Let's get that taken care of. There we go. Flanks cleared. Also, we've got Drina ideally positioned for lay on hands. Though with any luck, it will not be needed. Nice, nice. Though not nearly enough. We're fine. Parent can top off at the start of our next fight. And you know what? I guess I could just turn up the difficulty. I believe you can change it mid-run. And I don't believe we have it maxed out at the moment, so perhaps I'll look into that. Right, yeah, so it's definitely pushing us towards Harren at this point. Alright, fine, I'll kill you too. Oh, this one's even easier. But, you know, XP. And on the topic of difficulty, honestly, we could have probably gotten away with just maxing it out from the start on this one. I'm just always hesitant to do that, you know, especially when heading into a game I haven't previously completed, because you never know exactly how that balance is going to swing long term. In this particular case, though, it does feel like we're bumping up against that sort of reverse difficulty curve. Though, you know, then you sort of get into the situation with Rogue Trader. I've never been a max difficulty kind of guy because in many cases, rather than making it harder, it more just kind of makes fights longer. Though, I mean, that is generally more an issue in games like Rogue Trader, where fights tend to take 20 to 30 minutes, even before you start padding them out with health bloating. In a game like this, though, where your average fight does tend to only take 2 or 3 minutes, that might not be too bad. And, you know, it would be nice to have an actual reason to rest every once in a while. Yeah, you know what? I'll look into it. Let me go ahead and wipe these guys real quick, then we'll finish our approach on Harren. Hold. Nice. I suppose that is one thing that might suffer if and when we bump the difficulty, is those on-kill abilities. Huh. What's going on here? Feels like a land bridge to nowhere. Feels like there's perhaps a location that'll appear there later. Oop. Yeah, fine. We'll do one more. That's egg clutches. We do need those for pots of strength. Just in case anyone ever wonders why I keep saying strength, just look up Rice Pirates ... Showing my age again, but it's an artifact of yesteryear, and one that used to get quoted quite frequently around my gaming table. What if I didn't want to buy the potion? What about quests? All you can upgrade is strength? Oh, you guys aren't even trying. Come on. Stop freaking out in the corner and fight me! Fight me! Nice. And out of bodkins, so into the secondary stack we go. Still got 53 banked though, so I mean that's not bad, considering the number of fights we've been in. Oh, and look at that. Approach cleared. Let's get ourselves a gander. At the end of the rugged peninsula lies the small, walled fishing village of Harran. Once home to hundreds, the town now lies, seemingly deserted. Whatever fate has befallen this place, you must be on your guard if you choose to enter it. Way ahead of you there, narrator. The gates to Harran loom before you. The massive portcullis is down, however, and there's no way to open it from this side. On the other side, you see the dead, piled atop one another, up against the portcullis. They must have died trying to escape the town, caught between the gates and whatever assailants were in the town with them. Drina's face is ashen. I knew these people. I delivered their children and cared for their dead. To see them like this, I will have vengeance. She sets her jaw. There is another way, the Fisherman's Gate. We follow the walls east and then south. Let's go. Yeah, well, I'd save some of that outrage for later because methinks this is but our first hint of the horrors that lie within. I mean, even just out here, we've got a fair few unfortunate pillars of the community. Also, a chest. Full of gold? Nice, I'll take that. Terrors may indeed stalk these shadows, but yonder, a glint of gold. Ah, man, I do kind of miss running that series sometimes too. Darkest Dungeon 2 just didn't really do it for me. There was something special about the first game. It just, it did get grindier than I would have liked. You know, once we hit that second and third loop, it was kind of hard to really sort of stretch the narrative out. Plus, you know, I did go into it with Crimson Court enabled, a DLC I had no prior experience with. I was just excited to see new content. And I had no idea how grindy that would also get, or how pervasive the vampiric infection would become. And then, you know, there was the whole copyright fiasco that went on for like a year straight. That was the final dozen nails in the coffin. I do still think about it, though, from time to time. Darkest Dungeon may not have been the best game, per se, but it did have a very memorable aesthetic to it. And I'm just not sure if the sequel really captures that. The small farmhouse seems desolate and abandoned. The only signs of life is a pack of grotesquely swollen hogs, feeding greedily on something deep in the mud. When you catch a glimpse through a brief break in the frenzy, you realize it's the corpses of what must have been their former owners. Infernal swine! Drina spits behind you. These hogs look like more than a handful. Best be careful lest we all end up with a tusk in the gut, Roland grumbles. Ooh, something new. Though I can't imagine too much tougher than what we've faced thus far. Fell hogs. 4 in total. Unknown threat, so we'll still maintain a fairly defensive posture. But the Dungeon Master in me assumes these things will just be very charge-centric, very tanky, but otherwise not too bad. Also, I assume this is our source for both ham and tusks, both of which we do need for crafting. Alright, let's do this. Okay, so they are a bit on the tanky side. Let's not risk moving Cat up just yet. Oh, nice. Right, because it was stunned. Gotcha. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's kind of obvious in retrospect. You know what this game could benefit from is status markers. Fourth one should move into flanking. Oh, wow, goodness. Well, the good news is it did indeed move where we wanted it. The bad news is the 26 damage impact. Though, you know, nothing Farron's not used to. Farron's a former courtesan. He's built up a tolerance for boars. And there's our tusks, yes. As well as our beef. Are you sure about that, Skald? I mean, it is true. I guess these guys did have a beef with us. I just didn't figure it would be literal. Kind of expected them to go full ham, but instead they raised the stakes. We do know, though, that there is ham in the game because it was part of the grilled cheese sandwich recipe we got during the prologue. So, like, that does kind of make you wonder if there was originally going to be a fell cow or something that didn't end up making the cut. Who knows, perhaps that's just how it works in the world of Skald. Pigs are made of beef until you age them like fine swine. More gold, we'll take it. And on we go. Another new foe added to our fiend folio. Nothing in the well. Darn. Separated lower area. Feels like they're guiding us into a choke point. Some sort of mandatory encounter, perhaps? Rest of the front is clear. Yeah, singular descent point. Though it does open back up, so... Oh, nope, scratch that. We cannot go behind this rooftop. A gaunt figure shambles out of the fog towards you. The man is emaciated and covered in filth. He looks with exhausted eyes and stops dead in his tracks as he notices you. His eyes wide in terror, but his body too frail to flee. Hold, friend. We mean you no harm. Please don't kill me, the withered-looking man cries out as he cowers before you. I'm Philip, just a fisherman. Please help me. My wife is still trapped inside the city and... And what? What exactly is happening in there? When the Reavers went amok, they butchered folks in the street where they found them. But that was only the beginning. Once they had control of the city, they started dragging people from their houses, rounding them up. Only the eldest and youngest were finished off first. Come on, man. Those that were taken were dragged to the keep, and all that remains of them are screams. Such screams. My wife and I hid for days with no food or water, but this morning we couldn't take it no more and made a run for it. They got us before we even got within sight of the gate. And yet, here you are. They beat us like mangy dogs, even my Nadia. Told us father was waiting for us. Bloody, forsaken bastards. They'll be dragging her away as we speak. By the dead, you have to save her for me. She's beautiful. She's got long auburn hair. Please. Right, of course. I'll do what I can, but tell me, how did you get away? I can't get my head around it. One of the Reavers made him let me go, tore me from her grasp, and told me to run to the camp north of town, to tell the folks there that their loved ones would be waiting for them at the keep with Father. If we don't get her back before they reach the keep, she'll be dead or worse on the morrow. Oh, so you're bait. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, based on what we saw on the way here, no one who goes in that keep is coming back out alive. I've got some questions, if you don't mind. The man frets uncomfortably. Well, first of all, what can you tell me about these Reavers? How can men reach such cruel lows? I known some of them for years. Good, honest fishermen. Now they've gone mad. It's this father, I tell you. Him and his outsiders brought this upon us and poisoned the lodges. Right? Now they hold the whole bloody city. That is, it's bloody bedlam in there. Seems to me a few of them, the meanest and hardest, are the ones who answer directly to the father. They're the ones who took Nadia, and they seem to be holed up in the keep, only going outside to get more bodies. The man shudders. The ones that still roam the streets have all lost their minds, it seems. All of a sudden, they started fighting each other, and for a while it seemed they were more concerned with killing each other instead of raising the city. Now they're all holed up in each of their corners of the city, it seems. Interesting. Opposing eldritch deities, perhaps? What about this father? What can you tell me about him? You say he's the one in charge. That's what the Reavers call him. Far as I know, he became the head of the Fisherman's Lodge. Must be the one who turned him to Reven. But I ain't never seen him afore, and I've been in Harn my whole life. He must be an outsider. Ooh, okay. That is intriguing. And he's holed up at a keep, you said?
Aye, the Governor's Keep. Lies in the southwestern part of town. You enter it from the docks. But they have it all sealed up now. Ain't no way you're getting in there now. That's why you have to go get my Nadia before they take her there. Please, we've wasted too much time already.
Right, yes, of course. Just one more question. You said you were a fisherman, so why weren't you in the lodge?
Yes, the Fisherman's Lodge. Some of my fellows joined to share in the catch and ensure none went hungry. I thought about joining myself, as their nets seemed overflowing as of late. Since Father took charge, I've been told. But how can the lodge go from sharing fish to reaving their own kin?
Well, I think you just answered the question there in roundabout fashion. Clearly, the father is the one who taught them the rituals that sacrifice brought greater yields, and then turned it up to 11.
I beg of you, find Nadia. She's all I got since her boy passed, and she yet lives. You'll know her by her green dress and long auburn hair. If there are survivors left inside Harran, it is my duty to save them, Drina says as you turn to go.
Survivors or not, this stinks of a trap, Roland interjects. Guys, you gotta lead the line with whoever's saying them. I suppose that is one relatively minor quibble I have with the game. You know, while generally speaking I like the narrative, I like the atmosphere, there are a lot of typos. I kind of gloss over them because I'm used to dealing with that sort of thing. But that's slightly more egregious there. Tossing in sentences or entire paragraphs of dialogue before telling you who's saying it or how it's being said. Philip, did you know there's a crab in your house? Actually, scratch that. I guess technically this isn't your house, is it? Right, you said you were hiding out in town. Also, this isn't a house. This is clearly some sort of brewery with a single crab inside. How shellfish. And we're set. Brewing station, that'll come in handy. We do indeed have enough ingredients to do some new potions. Also potatoes, I'll take those too. I do love me a good potato. Nothing else from Philip. I wonder if he would have met a grisly end had we not removed that threat. I did have someone react with surprise that we managed to keep Jacob and his wife alive. Apparently there are several ways that whole encounter can end up going sideways and result in both them and or their son not surviving the scenario. So while he is definitely a bit of a bum, you know, that at least I guess was a small win. A very minor spot of brightness in this world of perpetual dark. What is going on with this house? Why can we not... Oh, you know what? This might be another case of, we did have that one barn back in the starting area. I want to say Marika's barn. Yeah, we can't get in this one either. Which was accessed through an underground tunnel. Though in most cases, you can also highlight interactive objects through blocking terrain. So the fact we're not seeing anything in there at all does kind of imply it's just dead space. Also, Fellhounds. Hey guys, what's up? I am actually very glad to see you. I'd like to see if we can eke out at least one level up today. I'm just kind of going through the motions with these guys, but I'm still mulling
on what Philip told us. He did feed us some pretty good new information. Both about the father, which feels pretty obvious. He's the corrupting influence on the Lodge. The Reavers are all former members of the Lodge. Fishermen who fell prey to the temptations of his sacrificial rites. But the other thing I'm wondering now is about how he mentioned the Reavers started fighting each other and subsequently split into 3 sub-factions. And in thinking back on it, I do think they've hinted at 3 separate eldritch entities. Whatever's in the sky, whatever's in the sea, and then potentially also the black mold, the creeping mold, I forget exactly what it was called. But yeah, what we might be witnessing here is something that, like, breached the veil between the mortal realm and the eldritch. And now we've got kind of a dog pile of eldritch entities, all engaged in some sort of turf war. All basically tripping over each other, trying to be the first to get their foot in the door. Because it does feel like we've definitely got a bit of a mashup of different Lovecraftian entities here. The fish people obviously smack of Dagon, but we also got some terminology hinting at the black goat of the woods. Fungus makes you think of Yuggoth, but I mean, Yuggoth's a planet, not an entity. Was there a fungus god in Lovecraft? It has admittedly been a while since I've really brushed up on my mythos. Hey, level up for Farron. Nice. And that, of course, is immediately going towards multi-attack. With our next level up going towards Strength. It's the only thing we can upgrade. See, now I'm just mulling on Lovecraftian entities, trying to connect dots. But the thing is, it might not even be necessarily a full Lovecraft dip. Ooh, warberries, that's new. But yeah. See, like, a lot of the entities in Lovecraft were also based on real quote-unquote, mythological figures that predated his stories. He drew a lot from, like, the Mesopotamian, Egyptian, African mythos. And it can be difficult to separate, like, the fiction that he created around some of these characters as opposed to the not fiction of the mythos they're based on, because those things definitely happened. I don't want to get canceled by the ancient death cults. I mean, like, obviously, Lovecraft did make up some of them whole cloth. Cthulhu, Nyarlathotep. I want to say the Goat of the Blackwoods, whose real name I don't want to say because it's problematic. Guess I could just call her Shub. Sup, Shub? But aside from the GOT, I don't think any of his creations have really... Well, no, we did find that creepy idol, the one that we killed What's-Her-Face over. That does very much look like a doll of Cthulhu. And there's our way in. So maybe we are going full Lovecraft, or it could just be an Easter egg. Maybe the Goat of the Blackwoods thing was just an Easter egg, too. I might just be spinning my wheels speculating on goofs and gaffes when the real culprits might just be Skald originals. Huh. How do we... Oh, that's tricksy. Right, so you can go under the fish hangars. You just have to clear the fish first. Interesting. I'll file that away in the old brain bank. And I think we're clear, so yeah, this does feel like a good place to call it. We'll hit the pause button for now. I will take care of our off-screen bookkeeping, brew up some extra potions, and yeah, if we can, I will go and crank up the difficulty. This actually feels like a pretty good place, thematically, for a power spike. Things have been going a bit too smoothly since we first hit shore. I think it's time for a grim reminder of what kind of story we're actually in. See you then. Oh, and special thanks to the raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible, including but not limited to Eerie B23, Revenant, Alois, Dragon Matrix 7, Drakiith, EgonAlter, Exsellsior, Gottlieb, James Trimmier, Kazorm, Mark Giemza, Nathan Welch Jr., OverlordPherom, RandomPassrby, RobbyB, Tomasz Piątkowski, Triphoppenskip, and Valinrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, if you'd also like to help support the channel, then feel free to push the buttons that do the things. Trust me, it does make a difference. Or you could even check out the PayPal, the Patreon, the Nexus GG, or the YouTube memberships. Links are in the description.